This is a brief history of the Democratic Republican Party. The party was founded in 1791 by two men, Thomas Jefferson, an original drafter of the Declaration of Independence, and James Madison, the author of the Bill of Rights in the new United States Constitution. Jefferson and Madison formed the party to oppose the initiatives of Alexander Hamilton, another founding father, key player in the Revolutionary War, and also known as the leader of the Federalist movement. It was for this reason many Democratic Republicans called themselves anti-Federalists, as they considered their views to be completely opposite of Hamilton's and those in his movement. When the French Revolution broke out in 1793, politicians in America were eager to take sides. Democratic Republicans, also known as Jeffersonians, quickly sided with the French. Meanwhile, Federalists sided with Great Britain, as Great Britain had suddenly got entangled in the conflict. This was going to become a key difference between the two parties, as Federalists wished to make America into a miniature England of sorts, with a strong central government, an economy based in manufacturing, and a very loose interpretation of the new United States Constitution. On the other side, anti-Federalists, or Jeffersonians, wished to have a weak central government, an economy based in agriculture, and a very strict interpretation of the Constitution. Democratic Republicans didn't consider themselves a veritable party until Jay's Treaty was passed in 1794, and most Jeffersonians were wildly against it. This turned them from a loose movement of people with a sort of apathetic view with few ideas into a full-fledged political movement with power, candidates, full ideas, and a unifying cause to rally behind. In 1796, Jeffersonians launched their first bid for the presidency with Thomas Jefferson. However, he lost to John Adams, the Federalist candidate, in the election by 3 electoral votes. When the 1800 election rolled around, Jefferson ran again and was successful. Jefferson's election into office saw an influx of political power. Where before Federalists had held control of Congress, the anti-Federalist population was growing rapidly and quickly assumed majority in Congress. The Jefferson administration oversaw many milestones in American history, most famously the Louisiana Purchase of 1803, which doubled the size of America, led to the famous Lewis and Clark expedition, and helped spark the idea of manifest destiny. While today it is seen as a great move, in Jefferson's time it was considered highly controversial, as it went against his ideals of strict interpretation of the Constitution. When the War of 1812 drew near, a number of Jeffersonians, also known as war hawks, began vehemently demanding war, when many Federalists opposed this. These Federalists attempted to stop the war, most famously by holding the Hartford Convention of 1815, but by that time the war was over, and the American public saw the Federalist Party as pathetic and irrelevant. The Jeffersonian control of the presidency lasted almost a quarter of a century, from Thomas Jefferson to James Madison to James Monroe, all the way down to John Quincy Adams. The election of 1828 is generally considered to be the last election containing Jeffersonian and Federalist candidates. By this time, the Federalist movement had been reduced to very little popularity, and by the election of 1828, there really was no Federalist candidate to be found anywhere. The 25 years of Jeffersonian power had meant that the Federalist Party was growing smaller and smaller in influence and popularity until its house collapsed upon itself, and the Federalist Party became no more. This spelled the end for the Democratic Republican Party as well, as now, with no Federalist cause to vote against, the Democratic Republicans really had no unifying cause. There was a split within the party into two factions, Democrats and Republicans, which are the parties we see today. And so after 37 years, the Democratic Republican Party was no more. However, it was responsible for major historic happenings in America, such as sweeping war victories, massive land expansion, and politics today.